Hi, I'm Robert X. Golphin, and on this RXG Exclusives, my guest is Cory Terrell, actor, model, and student. This Pennsylvania-raised, New York-based artist starred in the short film The Things We Go Through, a project on which I served as mentor and cinematographer. It was directed by my then high school mentee, Summer Rain, who's now studying the craft in college.
And action.
Cory, I remember observing you on set and seeing your passion, energy, talent, and potential, and I knew you were someone who I'd want to work with again. And while we have yet to find our collaboration, I know that in time, we will. So let's jump into things. You're an alum of the Lehigh Valley Charter High School for the Arts.
Charter Arts has prepared me to be honest with myself personally and to be fully immersed in my art form.
And now you're furthering your academic and artistic pursuits at the Atlantic Theater Company. So how did you go from having the idea of acting and modeling to actually actively pursuing the craft?
We must open up our minds and take a look inside. That we find we hold all the answers to life.
You're watching RXG Exclusives.
Oh, they tried to keep us away, yeah.
It's an interesting question. Dreams, of course, are a part of it. And how a dream becomes reality is something that society tries to act like is like not, I don't know, applicable, that stick. There's a lot of like, get a real job, that kind of thing. And I mean, the best thing I can say is that anything can become reality if you just understand the steps of it, if you understand the work behind it. When becoming an actor, it's like, okay, where do I start? Do I audition for everything from just leaving high school, or do I sit down and decide to continue with my studies? Do I know which director I want to work with? Do I know writers? And then it's like, oh, I'm working with a new writer in New York City. I'm learning how to get out there and get my name seen, but I'm also working on new projects that I'm passionate about. And it's an understanding of, oh, I'll work with that person. And, oh, I know that writer and I want to do that thing. And I think the best thing you can do is kind of just search. I don't really search for an opportunity to become a successful, famous actor. I search for people that do art professionally and love what they do. And I love what they're saying. And that's just the start of it. Becoming an artist is just recognizing that you have something to say, you have something to show, and then pursuing that and taking the steps to do that.
Now, growing up and having these big dreams, did you find yourself encouraged and supported along the way? Or did you have to search within yourself for that voice that says, you got this, you can do this, it's yours for the taking?
I think it's a bit of both. I think you can have all the encouragement from the world, from your parents, or from your family, or from friends around you. However, it's not enough when you're struggling with depression or bullying or just self-worth and believing in yourself. You have to find it for yourself, not just encouragement from others. I think I always had a mixture of both. I had people that encouraged me and the people that didn't. My mother has always been my number one fan, drove me 3 hours to get to high school, just completely committed to my dream and what that is and what that looks like. However, I think that's where I come in, recognizing that you can have encouragement, but you need to be able to, as an independent artist, be like, this is what this specifically means. This is specifically what I want to do. It's great to be an actor, but it's better to know what kind of actor you want to be. It's better to know what kind of message you want to say. And that comes from you believing in yourself that, okay, I have this encouragement. People tell me that I'm good. Now let me figure out how I can be good out there. Because it's not enough to just be good in your room. you have to figure out how to be good for others. Being part of being an artist is being seen and accepting what the audience says and what your teacher says and using that to your advantage and being able to fulfill a performance throughout that. That comes from confidence within yourself.
Now let's run it back a moment. You said you had a 3-hour journey to high school? What kind of school was Lehigh Valley Charter? It must have been one heck of a school.
It was great. It was everything I needed. I came at the perfect time. I feel like God was looking out for me. I was really struggling with a lot of bullying, and I was in a really bad place before going to high school. And my mother knew that, so I took this test, and it was like, this kid's an artist, and he needs to be around art 24/7. It was like, how do we do that? So I was like, okay, let's figure that out. We figured out art school. I auditioned, didn't think I'd get in, got in, and was like, okay, we're gonna do this. The school's in Bethlehem, but I live in Lancaster, and the school doesn't have, housing. So it was like, am I gonna go? Am I not gonna go? And I went. I woke up every day at 4 a.m. in the morning. The passion and love for theater was enough to fulfill me to go. And charter arts was hard because, it's high school, which I think is already kind of hard. But it was also adding like 20-page theater papers and history theory. It became a lot of learning. However, I always struggled in school, and I always thought like I didn't like school. And here I am now going to college, but I recognize that I actually love school and I love learning. I just have to learn a specific way. And I think charter arts was the beginning of that way. I was able to be hands-on and on my feet. And I had specific teachers in my history class that understood that I was an artist. So they would be like, okay, do this history assignment, acting it out. That was a way for me to learn in a new sense. So yeah, while I loved all that theater I learned, that's not my favorite part about charter arts. My favorite part about charter arts was my experience with diversity and what that means mentally, sexuality, and also ethnically. Diversity is also a mental thing. Everyone has diverse ideas and diverse thoughts, and combining them into one, that's been a root of who I am. So I would say that is what I took from the school. And yeah, I mean, I don't regret those long treks. No.
Now, you've been very transparent on social media about some of the challenges you've faced in life as both an artist and a young man, from managing what some might call a disability, to being Black, to being gay. Some say those things make life more difficult. How have you approached this, and what have you learned along the way?
That is such a good question because I love the word difficult. Okay, look, I'm in a marginalized group. I'm in like 6 marginalized group. I'm very aware of that. I'm autistic, I have ADHD, I'm Black, I'm gay, what do you do? I have poor parents, I come from, not from money, I don't come from connections. Oh no, how am I gonna do it? But honestly, all of those things, not when you're a kid, they don't feel like it. You struggle with so much, again, bullying and people just picking on you and you never belong anywhere. However, when you're an adult, they are the reasons why you succeed. They are the reasons why you get into programs. They are the reason why you get to talk to people about your life. And I have never been more proud of those struggles or those difficulties. I did have difficulties. I had can you believe it? But like literally a very social person now. But when I was a kid, I literally didn't understand social interaction. I didn't understand how to talk to people or how to accept no. And it took me forever to just like function with social interaction. Now I'm a master at it. And then I think about like, oh yeah, well, I definitely struggled with like how to be gay. When I first came out, I was like, oh, I'm this rainbow. I have to be loud. I have to be extra. And then I thought New York City would like bring that back out in me, and it didn't. It actually calmed me down a lot. I got to see a lot of people who were also of my sexuality and other sexualities, and able to just kind of live in this open, free city where I don't actually have to be or perform for anyone. I never feel like I have to perform anything. And then being Black, that's also a challenge. That's like, how do you get your name out there? How do you get people to care about what you have to say? How do you speak of your experience without it being controversial? Truthfully matter, I don't think you can. I think in order to be a Black gay man, you have to accept and sort of honor the struggle that comes with that. And for me, well, I have learned that with that struggle, I'm an asset. Schools want Black gay men. Plays need diversity. Movies need diversity. I am an example of millions and millions of people that are always underrepresented, and it's a matter of them not getting their shot. But truly, that is not the case here. I'm currently getting the opportunity to be represented at my school and be in a city with people who are different. And that honestly is how I would describe all those different struggles. It's like, yeah, they're assets. They're cool little weapons for the real world. And yeah, everyone's gonna judge, everyone's going to make it harder for me, but that doesn't mean that I don't know my worth. And I don't know how much of an asset I am for everything I do, because they need me just as much as I need them.
We're still living in the unknown. How have you managed to stay sane and creative when the entire world, but specifically the nation, is enduring a vicious virus, as well as the continued racial and political divide?
Two things. History. The first thing is definitely history and hope. That's what I would say, history and hope. I don't like to believe that the pandemic is the worst pandemic in history, and it's really, really hard for everyone, and that it'll be the end of the world and apocalypse. I recognize history and I study facts, and if you look back, there have been pandemics before that lasted longer than 2, 3, or even 4 years. I have to recognize that while I don't want to live in the land of the plague, I am. But it doesn't mean that is it, that I'm done, that I can't succeed, that I can't create. I know that you can read history documents about the plague and the Black Death and get really kind of eerie feelings. However, I recognize that there were people with souls and talents and minds and creativity during those times, that you can't tell me there wasn't art created during those times. You can't tell me during the Great Depression there weren't people out there who still wanted to create something that made them feel good. You can't tell me that you live in the Great Depression and don't wake up smiling or laughing at all. That's not possible. I recognize the pandemic just like that. It's a matter of good and bad. It's not just bad. It's a very controversial way of looking at things, but I recognize that for me personally, I can look at the pandemic as the end of the world, but I can also look at the pandemic as a time of slowing down, as a time of recognizing as an entire world, we could do a lot better with health and safety. Why is that something bad to recognize? And yes, while we're all struggling with COVID, hysteria and not knowing when it's going to end, I have to look at history. And history, for one, repeats itself. So a plague is repeating itself. However, history also ends. At some point, it becomes a part of the history book, and then the present comes. We're presently living in a historically tragic time. However, I recognize hope, and the time has to end. And no matter if you were living in the Black Death or the Great Depression, when you're living in it, it's hard to understand that it will end. But it did end. The Great Depression ended. Deep-rooted slavery ended. So recognizing those key important parts of history, lead me to today, recognizing all the beautiful things that I do have access to. And the fact that I can still go to school in the middle of a pandemic. I don't think back in the day that was a thing. I think school would have been shut down, and it would have been completely shut down. No remote learning. And yes, remote learning in itself is a beautiful thing. The fact that I'm having a Zoom interview is a beautiful thing. I don't recognize those things as negative or bad or, oh, it's a technical age, robots are coming, doom. I recognize it as adaptation and history trying to outbeat itself, death and destruction in a new way. We're fighting it in a way that's never been fought before. And maybe we don't know the answers, and that can be very frustrating. But as a world, because I recognize that COVID is happening in my nation. However, I don't think most people are recognizing that it's happening over the world. We're united on this problem. We're united on this issue. So understanding that means that we need to come united in accepting that this is hard, but it has to end, because it will. And I can't stop living, and I can't stop breathing or laughing or creating or trying to improve myself just because I have to quarantine for 5 days.
I want to discuss LGBTQ plus IA representation in the arts. Several years ago, I starred in a short drama called Punch Me, in which I played a college student coming to terms with his sexuality and his father's diabetes diagnosis. Brian Anthony Wilson of HBO's The Wire fame played my dad, and I also wrote and directed the project. I'm super proud of the work that we created, because our intent was to show that the love you have for yourself and others should be unconditional. The film was received quite well by the LGBT community as well as their allies, and won many awards on the festival circuit. That said, if I were making the film today, I don't think I'd have centered it on the main character's anguish. And I say all this to ask your thoughts on artists who don't identify as LGBT playing gay roles or creating content for the LGBT audience. Some in the LGBT community have expressed disappointment over straight actors being called brave and earning accolades for their portrayals, while many gay actors struggle to be seen. Should straight actors think twice before playing gay roles? Should straight content creators stick to their own lane, or also continue to explore other lifestyles and cultures? Are these complex issues, or is it black and white, in your opinion?
Great question. I've been asked before. So, and I have to always find a new way to answer it, because my answer grows over time. I'm going to bring up an example. You can paint a painting of you can paint a painting of a dog, and you can show this picture of painting of a dog to people and be like, I love this painting of a dog, like dogs are so cute, I love it. And that can be it. You can paint another picture of a dog, and you can paint the dog's expression, and you can paint the dog's longing in the eyes, and you can paint the dog's fur with stripes and mismatched colors and doughy eyes and a sort of droop to the dog's body. Or you can just paint a dog. I bring this up to saying the fact that that's how I look at how straight actors, straight writers, straight directors go about the LGBTQ community. Some projects are just gay. I love gays, and I want to write a gay project, and I think we need more gay, so let me write it, because I'm straight and gay is great. Yeah, diversity. And then I think other projects are trying to find the human, not the sexuality. It's important for actors writers, directors to understand that being gay is not a personality. It's not a way of being. It truly is just someone's sexuality. Gay culture is someone's being. Though being gay, it's just someone's sexuality. I bring this up to say that a gay actor should be a part of a gay movie that has to do with gay culture. And no straight man or straight actor should be playing a gay man's gay culture storyline. For example, The Normal Heart is a play about the gay community and how that looks and what that means to the AIDS epidemic and everything in that time period. And Mark Ruffalo is not a gay actor, but Mark Ruffalo played the human of Ned, an activist who is gay, not a gay who's an activist. It truly comes down to how the work is written and how the work is prepared, just as almost everything does. You know, a black man, there's this idea that a black man shouldn't write a story about a white woman. Well, a black man writing a story about a white woman just because he wants to make the character white, maybe he shouldn't write that story. But a black man wanting to write a story about a woman who lives in the suburbs and has a father who is poor and has a mother who's rich, and there's a divorce. And the reason why he went with the white woman is because the world is supposed to perceive her as beautiful, yet she doesn't see herself that way. Well, we just add an entire different layer onto what the color of someone's skin or what sexuality means. Nothing should be done surface level. Everything should be done with meaning. So I recognize that there's a lot of gay projects out there that are casting straight actors. But then I have to ask that actor, and I can look at the actor and make my own assessment, which could be wrong or could be biased. However, I believe in an assessment of someone's portrayal in a movie can be judged. You can truly see if someone cares about that human, that character, more than just playing a sexuality. And I think that's my thing. I think in regards to gay actors needing more roles, well, I offer two things. I offer the idea that gay actors needing more gay roles is harmful. And it puts us in a position of only trying for gay roles. That's what Hollywood wants to do most of the time. And then you don't get cast because you cast a straight actor, and there's this balance that's lost. However, I think what really needs to happen is a gay actor should be able to audition for every single role and still play the straight character. And Hollywood needs to lose the idea that the gay actor is not as appealing as a straight actor in regards to being next to a woman. And the gay actor can't convey a masculine approach as much as the straight actor can. That needs to be lost. Then I recognize also something else. Being gay is also an asset. So with that comes a responsibility of how you're going to portray yourself as a gay actor and how much of your gay culture that you share or you don't. The stigma behind gay culture being shown for an actor, that is the problem. The problem is the way that we truly push away authentic gay men in their lives. I don't know if the problem is a straight man playing a gay role, because I played a straight role. I think the problem is when we completely ignore gay men for their lives, and we completely ignore gay men for any character with substance. But I also have to ask writers and directors, are you doing it because it's fun and it's fruity and it feels good? For example, Single All the Way, sorry to say it, the movie just came out on Netflix and it sucked. I mean, in the first 3 minutes, there were 50 gay jokes. Okay, cool. you're not giving me a clear human. You're giving me a jester. You're giving me the class clown. And I'm sorry, no one wants that shit. So I think that is my feeling behind that.
What are common misconceptions about Cory Terrell? What would you like society and the entertainment industry to know about you? Those might be two very different questions.
A common misconception about me is that I'm cocky. I think that's a common misconception about me. I'm not gonna do the whole I'm confident, not cocky. I'm not gonna do that. I honestly think in society, there's a misconception about how much I share, and there's a misconception about how much I show and how much of my personality creeps into everything I do. And I've been trying to figure out if I should share it off or show my personality or not. And is it cocky to make a bunch of TikToks, or is it cocky to post a bunch of pictures and then write in the caption, "I love this picture of me"? Is it cocky or is it self-love? I think it's a misconception about how people see me as a cocky guy, because I'm truly not. I'm just like everyone else. I don't always know the answers. I'm confident one day and then the next day I'm not. I'm sometimes performing to look good, but I honestly don't feel good. I think we have to do a better job, though, as a society, potentially, maybe, of just letting people be. There's a lot of judgment right now in society that I personally don't stand for. A lot of cancel culture, a lot of this was controversial, and the way that you said this could hurt another community. And I think those are justifiable facts. However, humans are just going to be humans. Humans are messy. I recognize that I'm messy. And I think if more humans recognize that, I think we get along better as a society. Humans are messy. Nothing is as simple as that person's a cocky person. That person's mean. That person thinks highly of themselves and doesn't care about anyone else. It's never that simple. It comes with trauma, and it comes with succession and loss. It's a matter of life. So recognizing that people are more messier than we take for granted. I think we take for granted how we're always looking for a perfect person on social media or someone to aspire to be. In reality, we should just accept we're all freaking hot messes, and we're all trying our best. And then in regards to the world and my career, what I want people to know, I want people to know that I'm an actor who wants to study and wants to show off the human in every character. I think it's my job to understand the intellectual psychology of every character. That is like my goal. And I don't know if many actors talk that way, but I that's what I hope to find for my career. The psychology behind every character, the understanding of fear, loss, trauma. I want to show all of that in every performance moving forward. In the regards to the pandemic, hang in there. I would love it if more people would try to look at the good that's come in the pandemic. You know, we were obsessed with Clubhouse for a quick little moment in the past few months. We all made sourdough bread. We all learned TikTok dances. These are exciting things to celebrate, and I wish more people would do that and celebrate that. And then, you know, for actors younger than me looking at this potentially, I would like to share something I'm still working on, but be kind to yourself and really try to understand that every part of you is applicable and useful. For a long time, I used to think I was dumb because I am autistic and then because I have ADHD and I struggle in certain assignments, math, like science, and failed biology 4 times. Like, no, I used to think I was just dumb. And I think maybe in biology, I'm probably as dumb as it gets. But when it comes to the intelligence behind characters or humans, I might be a bit of a pro. I love that form of intelligence. And I think recognizing that everyone is intelligent in a different way, just like everyone is strong in a different way. You know, I'm not physically going to be able to like pick up, you know, I don't even know, 180, I don't know, something heavy because I don't work out and I don't have that motivation. But recognizing that you're strong in other ways. Like I might be emotionally very strong. I've gone through a lot of trauma, so I would think I'm pretty emotionally strong because I'm still here today. And that's part of being kind with yourself. Like, I really think everyone's athletic in some way. Everyone's strong in some way. Everyone's smart in some way. Everyone's talented in some way. People that are engineers, people that are mathematicians, they're more creative than they think they are. Everyone has all these skills. Sometimes in society, we do things like, I'm an actor, I'm a talented artist, and that's all, yay. And then we like cut off everything else because it's like, oh, I'm not smart, I can't do this, I can't write a book, can't read that. And then you start to recognize that you actually can, and maybe there are certain things you will not do in life. However, that doesn't mean that you can't do it, and it doesn't mean that you don't access a skill to do it. It just means that it's not for you. And I want everyone out there to recognize, as an actor and as a human, every single part of you really is worthy and is like so powerful. And that's something I'm recognizing. Like, I am smart, but I'm also talented, but I'm also strong, but I'm also sensitive. It's all of them. Humans are messy. So that's what I can hope to highlight on people.
So what are your current and upcoming projects?
The new project I'm working on right now is I'm in a reading at the Atlantic Theater Company for a play being created by a Yale student. His name is Philip. He's great. Called We Can't Breathe. And it's about gay men and their identity at the age of 17 and coming to terms with recent deaths in 2010 and just trying to understand the beginnings of Black Lives Matter. It's a very family-rooted play. It's funny, it's scary, it's sad, but it's honestly a truthful story of a family that cares about each other, mother, father, together, gay son, and then his gay best friend. I play the gay best friend, Rivington. It's really great, and you should check it out. And then another thing I'm working on is Scare Them, and that's a company that I'm creating currently with my friend, Pixie Lizard on Instagram. She's an artist, a graphic artist, and I'm creating a company with her. And Scare Them is all about the idea that, like I said, you are a part of a bigger picture, and you're an asset to companies and to jobs and to schools, and recognizing that if someone is scared of your potential or your race, it's your job to scare them more. It's your job to scare them and get every single accolade and award and recognition that you deserve, and to make your voice heard. So I'm working on that, and I would really love people to check that out in the coming weeks. And more to come. I'm on a fashion show in a few weeks in New York City. I'll post it on my Instagram soon. But yeah, I'm always working, always creating. Yeah.
Well, Cory Terrell, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate you taking time out to share a little bit about your journey. And thank you for watching RXG Exclusives. Once again, I'm Robert X. Golphin, and I'll see you next time.
Love still lacks at home. We were put here to discover that we are not alone. So sisters and my brothers, now is the time to go. Are you ready, y'all?
Make sure to like, comment, and hit subscribe on our YouTube channel so you never miss out. RXG Exclusives, hosted by Robert X. Golphin, now playing.